Welcome to Travel Tech EMEA 2023, where the transformation begins. By becoming a sponsor at Travel Tech, you'll gain access to an exclusive platform to showcase your brand to a global audience. Here's why you should sponsor our event. Travel Tech provided knowledge to more than 167 countries. Travel Tech is the largest online event in the travel and hospitality industry, reaching the milestone of over 1,500,000 unique impressions in its events. Delivering to the world knowledge, free education, inclusion, and effective networking for evolution in the industry. Being an excellent means of showcasing your brand. Over 80,000 people attended our live events, generating more than 19,000 hospitality and travel-focused leads. Meet the sponsors of Travel Tech EMEA 2023.
In the bustling world of hotels, guests expect prompt, courteous service from booking to check-in, all the way to check-out. Meanwhile, the front desk is overwhelmed with emails, phone calls, check-ins, and guest requests. Introducing Guest Chat, a virtual assistant that helps your staff answer guest questions instantly via chat, 24/7, with a multilingual, fine-tuned white glove service. From booking to check-in, all the way past checkout. Join the revolution in hospitality service. Elevate your guest experience with Guest Chat today.
Analyze only a competitive set, or the total set. Study only prices, or 116 factors. Launch only one price, or 60 different ones. Do you prefer to fill only your accommodation, or your bank account too? Turbo Suite, the next generation of revenue management.
Welcome to the future of hotel marketing with HS Latam. Our self-managed, easy-to-edit websites are designed to captivate and convert visitors into customers. High-standard website with top 1 speed in the world. Elevate your online presence with our digital marketing solutions. Reach the right audience at the right time. Optimize your sales strategy or maximize revenue and efficiency. And with our advanced Power by Analytics, track your success and make data-driven. HS Latam. Transforming hotel marketing worldwide. Introducing Travel Tech Academy, a platform offering free courses designed to share valuable knowledge from the best professionals in the travel and hospitality industry. Our mission is to provide inclusive learning opportunities for those who may not have the means to gain qualifications otherwise. With Travel Tech Academy, you'll have access to top-notch resources and insights that can help propel your career in the travel and hospitality sector. Over 3,500 professionals have already taken the course on our platform, acquiring knowledge and improving their professional profile. Many professionals, through Travel Tech Academy courses, have managed to find better job opportunities in the job market. For more information, visit traveltechacademy.com. And to become a sponsor of Travel Tech, get in touch through our website, traveltechspace.com, or by email at geraldo@traveltechspace.com. Travel Tech, what else?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tech EMEA edition. We are here today with outstanding professionals like Alejandro Gomez Lozada, VP of Holy Bob, Hannes, the CEO and founder of Travel Genius, Daniel Bruno, head of alliance of Juniper, Soraya Letra, CBM on Riskov, Jeroen Gulickx, sorry for my pronunciation, happens, CEO and founder Joonze, and the lovely Tammy Brazzoli that will take the lead. She will manage the entire session today. So thank you so much for everybody to be here. So right now, I pass the word. It's all yours, the panel, Tammy.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Well, just to kick off and to say thank you to Travel Tech for making this opportunity available where we can get great leaders such as yourself to join together and to really discuss and deep dive into some subjects that involve hospitality and travel. So looking forward to the discussion today. We're really going to be focusing on leaders such as yourself, how you're leading the journey ahead for us, and specifically when it comes to transforming experiences and how that is looking over the next 5 years going forward. So the last 2 days, we've been discussing a lot on where we are, what has happened, but what is the future looking like? So we're looking forward to hearing from everybody today. Maybe if we can just go around, I'll kick off by introducing myself a little bit more. And I'm Tammy Brazzoli from WorldHotels. WorldHotels is a membership program that invites independent hotels to actually join. We've got more than 250 hotels, around 175 destinations. And we're really there to support luxury hotels in their marketing, their distribution, and being their partner when it comes along to technology and advice and guidance that they need on that side. So looking forward to sharing insights. And maybe if I can start at the top of the screen, Leandro, if you can maybe introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more.
Yes, thank you, Tammy. Thank you very much, everyone. A pleasure to be here. My name is Alejandro Gomez. I'm the VP of Commercial at Hollybob. Hollybob is a travel technology company that started in 2019, and we're on a mission to help every brand activate the experiences economy. So we're allowing to activate their installed demand and deliver unique, curated, personalized experience results in destination that convert with zero cost of acquisition.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Looking forward to hearing more insights from you. Next in the screens, Hannes, can you maybe introduce yourself, please? You're on mute, Hannes.
My apologies. Thank you, Tammy, and thank you, Travel Tech community, for inviting us. Hannes, founder of a travel startup. We are on a mission to enable anyone to really empower them to make better decisions, both in the B2B and B2C space. In the B2B space, it's really travel, hospitality, and restaurants, whereby we enable people to decide what is the best location to open and or operate their asset. And in the B2C space, Genius AI, we just went live with a beta last month, is really to transform the way people plan their travel anywhere in the world. We launched our first voice-enabled natural language search engine, and in 2 months we will activate the full version. So travel, location intelligence, empowering anyone to finally have a great experience and to make the right decisions anywhere in the world. Back to you, Tammy.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Again, looking forward to hearing your insights and contribution to the session today. Next for us, Jeroen, if you can please introduce yourself a bit.
Yes, it's Jeroen Gulickx. I am been a hotel consultant since 2001, and in 2007 I started my own company called Muccino, and 2 years ago I started the company called Joonze, which is a technology that helps hotels as well as brands, global brands, not related to hotels, find the right high value client. So, and we launched that a couple of weeks ago. So, you know, when I'm a little tired or when I fall asleep, then please do throw something at me. Yeah, no, I'm really glad to be here. And this is the second time I'm joining Travel Tech, and it's super exciting, particularly from a point of view of relationships and high value partnerships. So it's really great to be here again. Thank you, Tammy.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And I'm sure the discussions will be lively enough to keep you awake, not to worry about that.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Good. Good. Saria, if we can ask you to please introduce yourself.
Definitely. So first of all, thank you to Travel Tech, thank you to Vinicius for the invitation to come over. Travel Tech has been, just another side of resilience in our area because, the event is keeping up with the years, and we're still there. We're still here. So I think this is just another example of how resilient we can be. A few words about me. So yeah, I'm Suraya. I have found myself in the travel tech industry more or less 10 years ago, and it was kind of a love at first click. So not at first sight, but at first click. I have been working for the past 8 years for a online distributions and revenue management software provider. To find myself this year at Riskoff. Riskoff is an OTA. We are specialized in packages, and we are actually one of the largest providers of mini breaks in Northern Europe and Central Europe. Basically, what we do is help hotels selling their surplus capacity on a totally free sales model.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And looking forward to hearing your insights coming through from a OTA, different aspects as well.
Yes, it's definitely different. I'm super happy that this time we can hear the voice of an OTA. At the end of the day, we're also part of travel tech.
Indeed. No, great to have you on board. Thank you very much. And last but not least, Daniel, if you can please give an introduction on your side.
Yeah, so hello, it's a pleasure meeting everybody. It's my first time here at Travel Tech. First, I'd like to thank everybody for this invitation. It's a pleasure to share, this panel with this great group. Thanks, Tammy, for the introduction as well. So basically, I'm from Juniper Travel Technology. Juniper's been in the market for over 20 years, providing booking engines, connectivity, and connecting the major players in the market to provide travel agencies, OTAs, airlines in my case, with the technology behind to create the package and to be able to sell the products. We have over 440 XML connections, so you have an idea. And we have a lot of companies in the group. We're part of a Juniper group, and we are part of Constellation as well. And my specific role, I've been into aviation for the past 14, maybe 15 years. I don't count anymore. And I'm in charge of helping the airlines to create their own vacations and holidays divisions and to help them move that forward, which has a great fit into hospitality because it's the combination of the product after all. So that's it about me. Thanks a lot for the invitation.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So we've got a nice variety here as well today, which I think is really great. We're looking at definitely leaders who are taking technology and people and really trying to find that blend, and not only within our own teams and divisions, but also from a guest perspective. And I think ultimately looking at the fact that that's what we hear about is how to make that guest experience a better one. So yes, let's maybe just shout out to everybody who's joining us online. Please, we'd love to hear where you're from. What are you involved in? Are you on a tech side? Are you from the hotel side? And if there are any comments or questions, please pop them into the chat there so that we can actually see them coming up and we can address them. And please engage. We look forward to hearing from you. Great. Then let's kick off with some of the discussion. So as mentioned, we're really looking at today, what is the future looking like? What is the next 5 years coming together? How is it going to look like? We have gone through such a steep curve of growth, I would say, over the last year with AI coming out, ChatGPT. I think just a basic, how many people are using ChatGPT now on an everyday basis would be shocking compared to a year ago where some people had never even heard of it. And we're now definitely seeing that transitioning into hospitality. We're seeing growth in hospitality from adoption point of view as well. I think we have been one of the industries that have been a little bit behind or slow on the uptake, but just seeing people like yourself going out there and forging ahead and really making our industry one of the ones that is coming to the forefront. and being better at adopting technology and implementing and putting in place. But that said, back to what is the next 5 years looking like? So we really want to see how experiences are going to be transformed and hear from yourselves on some of the questions posed on what your thoughts are. So if we can start off, Soraya, if I can maybe start with you. So the question I'd like to pose to you is, looking at how things have been so unpredictable, so much change that's happened, as mentioned, growth that's happened over the last year and that, do you think that the market's unpredictability is actually going to become a playground for new innovations going forward?
Definitely, yes. I mean, it has been already a playground, right? And COVID just accelerated that. If you look back, 4 years ago, and you have been mentioning about technology adoption, so that playground was more maybe circumscribed to a given segments or segments. And when we were all, faced with something that was abnormal, something that just disrupt the normal way of doing things, hoteliers, they had more time to think about technology. So they started to play, and play in a sense that some of them have started to think about their legacy systems. They have to started to think about their tech stack. What PMS am I using? Should I replace it? Am I using any online distribution system? Is this a good one? Am I using a chatbot? And so on and so forth. So I think this is when exactly we have seen, the playground getting wider and wider, and this adoption started to move faster. You said very well that hospitality had been, in principle, always a little bit lagging behind, especially if we compare, for example, with airlines. We have today Daniel here, and I think it can just confirm that. But now this is just evolving and way faster. It's not even a playground; it's just part of everyone's who's in hospitality's daily lives. It's more like the courtyard even than the playground.
Very true. Very true. Any other comments from anybody? What are you seeing as part of that technology stack or that future growth? How are they developing, or what are hoteliers specifically looking at when it comes to this?
Well, if I
I mean,
may
it's a
add
good. Sorry, go ahead, Soraya.
No, I just thought that, like revenue management is one of the things that it's being heard more and more. So until recently, it was maybe not something that every kind of hotel would be using when it comes to revenue management tools. But this has been changing. So it's no longer something that hotel groups or regional hotel chains would have access to, but the smaller, they're looking at solutions like this as well. And then if you think about, for example, the shortage in tech staff, this is where again we see a need to have technology in place. And this is when again we go back to the courtyard or to the playground on how can I have technology helping me with my daily tasks, not necessarily replacing someone, but just freeing some of the time so that they can specifically look at some tasks like strategical decisions rather than inputting data in the system. Pick.
Yeah, agreed. Alejandro, your comments?
Yeah, and I was going to say that if you look at, and picking up from Soraya, I think that the industry is being challenged to rethink the way it works. Not only in technology, it's a business model, it's a value proposition, it's how you handle the consumer, and especially how you generate demand, right? So the current status quo way of doing business in travel is not sustainable in the long run. We've already understood that, right?
That's a very good point, sustainability.
So it's sustainability in terms of the business model. It's just terms of sustainability in how you're going to add value to the consumer without transferring it to cost. And technology can be a great enabler for that. It's not a replacer, and it's not a magic wand. It's just a way to make it more efficient, right? So Raya was like, and I would love to hear her about the OTA, right? So I'm here in Miami at a conference, and I'm looking at OTAs, basically talking about how much their ad spend is going to go up, and they've been saying for the last 10 years that they are trying to make it down, right? So something is happening, or something is actually not happening. So technology should allow you to make that more efficient. And I think we're on the verge of having to do that forcefully because sustainability is a problem, rising cost of travel, inflation. There's a number of things that will challenge us to rethink our business and commercial models.
I mean,
Definitely.
if I might add, I mean, Alejandro is absolutely right. I think the most challenging part is that, you know, from a hotel's perspective, and I've been working in hotels many years, but I still communicate with GMs and director of sales, and you know, it's still the old-fashioned part that we need to get rid of. So it's you know, when you think about, you know, or I mean, on average, you know, a hotel, an independent hotel with, you know, 20 plus licenses or systems, you know, how can that be streamlined? But I think it's more here, and I know that's exactly what the guys are talking about is, you know, what can we do that's actually different, or what is new? You know, what is actually refreshing, or what is something that will create loyalty or get that high value client. You know, that's what it's about. It's always been about that, but it's never been tackled the way it's supposed to be tackled right now. And we can see that in other industries where, you know, I mean, if you just look at, you know, a car or anything like that, you know, I mean, we're talking, you know, the biggest talk is about, you know, having a key card or an electronic key card for your hotel room. Well, you know, I could open my car 15 years ago without a key. You know, so it's, where are we? You know, so I mean, I'm talking about the very simple, straightforward. Okay, we need to get the booking into a system, and housekeeping need to be able to see when they clean the room. To what does it actually mean for a client? You know, what does it actually mean for someone who's there and experiences the whole thing? So, and I think that's really a mix of what Soraya and Alejandro is saying here. So.
Indeed, indeed. And I think it's coming back to that whole guest experience. So yes, it's great to have all of these things, or taking the view not only from what's operationally a good idea at a hotel, but is that operational decision actually benefiting the guest, or is it benefiting us as the hotelier to save costs in that? And I think that balance of the cost, as you were saying, Alejandro, taking that cost, not adding that on or transferring it to the guest, because the guest is also wanting to get more value out, you know, and not necessarily just paying for all these additional systems or services that are coming on board.
It's not even the technology, Tammy. It's just a quick example of that. So you have now companies saying that they're all driven by ESG, and the only thing they do is they put ESG lingo and governance, and they transfer the cost to the consumer. And that is not the right way to do business. People are going to start buying travel out of values, and values will drive the purchase of the consumer. So you cannot transfer that cost to the consumer because they are expecting the companies to actually be driven by ESG, right? So it's part of your value proposition. I'll give you a clear example of that, and Daniel might know it from the airline industry. I actually offset my carbon footprint on an airline, but for me, just putting that as an ancillary on top of my ticket is the dumbest idea they could ever have implemented. Just charge me for the ticket and say that I'm offsetting the price. Period.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I would add to it to a few comments because Soraya, for example, in the beginning mentioned, yes, maybe airlines in terms of technology are more advanced. Hotels are picking up and chains are picking up. I would say the airlines have a good set of technologies behind because it's a tough operation to run, and I'll get you your carbon footprint in a second. But it's still the airlines overall is still binded to very old legacy systems, and they're trying to get away with that. And so the technology is evolving. So what runs behind the tourism landscape is not really up to date. So this is the challenge this industry and other industries are facing right now. So really just adding a little bit to this conversation, I think when we think about technologies that will impact our market and impact, you know, the next 5-10 years, there is a movement that started. I'm not going to talk here about COVID, but basically everybody's on the what I call the do-yourself movement. So everybody learn how to make it, everybody learn how to book it, everybody learn how to, you know, create their experiences or their travels online. So the technology, what I see behind it, it's evolving in terms where I can focus on some key points, which is connectivity, which is an issue because of all the systems we have. The other one is personalization. So to what extent, and that includes, for example, adding the key cards from the hotels. Should I do or should I not do it? Do I prefer to use a key or do I prefer to use a card or I don't know, visual recognition or something like that, face recognition? The other one is cost reduction. So I do think that the major impacts of technology would be towards those areas, and any technology that feels that or that can supply certain value to it would be relevant enough to do it. And just talking about Alejandro's experience with the carbon footprint, I completely agree. I think that it's the industry needs to rethink a little bit what is the value for the customer after all, what I can sell, what I cannot, and what is my actual mission and the values I want to put in there. So the industry does have a mission to reduce carbon emissions, to improve engines, to improve flights and everything. And I think technology will play a big part of the role in this. But I still think we need to rethink, what we offer versus the value that is presented after all. So sorry about the long speech. I came in later.
I think we can even shorten down what has been said here as to one or actually three things. Like the future of our industry is pretty much based on embracing technology, sustainability, and most of all, guest centricity. Because at the end of the day, who's actually the engine? Who's actually making us move? It is the guest. If we have guests, then hotels are happy, and we are happy. OTAs are happy. Technical providers are happy. So it starts with the guest. But to power that, to fuel that, we would think about technology and sustainability. And it's not only about CO emissions when I'm talking about sustainability, but sustainability goes around themes like technology, of course, financial sustainability, Daniel, and also Alejandro, you mentioned about profitability. So it needs to be financial, sustainable. And then, of course, eco practices that goes along, waste, water, etc. Human resources. Tammy, I was delighted yesterday when you were one of the speakers because you mentioned something which is crucial. You said that some of the staff at the hotel, sometimes they are afraid to use even the property management system. And that also goes about with sustainability. You need to make sure that your staff is educated. You need to make sure that you're sharing your expertise with your staff. That's also about sustainability. And I would say that this is how it evolves.
For sure. Great. I think we can continue on the subject for the whole session, but maybe let's build on this where we've been going. And also just for everyone, just to check their microphones. We're getting a little bit of feedback on some of the headsets, I think. If you can maybe just check that, it would be really appreciated. So building on the subject of revenue management systems, possibly the technology that we hoteliers are starting to use more. Hannes, if we can maybe move over to you and pose the question to you, do you think hotels in 2020-25 going forward are still going to need to employ, say, the 10 to 30 on-site sales, marketing, revenue teams, especially if you look at how fast AI is now evolving and these solutions are being provided to us?
Thank you, Tammy, for the question. Yes, I think in 5 years, most hotels will be able, and in our opinion, should be able, and will operate without sales and marketing people on property. In my years in the Asia Pacific market, in China, Vietnam, India, I've seen already economy and mid-scale hotel chains operate in that way. 80% or 90% less staff than their peers. Even the biggest hotel operators in China are doing that already. But that was before AI. And now with AI development, we believe, and that's what we are banking on as well, in building products that really solve that need, really at 3 different levels, right? Clearly, the AI tool itself is easy to be adopted by anyone. But if you want to operate and equip a general manager or operational staff who don't have functional market or industry experience, which is the case in many emerging markets, if you want to equip and enable those type of resources to make the right business decisions in the sales and marketing space, I think AI solutions will solve for that and bridge towards that need. I think in 4 or 5 years, probably earlier, in 2 or 3 years, most of the mid-scale economy hotels can completely X those teams. Today, right, clearly, you can adopt hundreds of AI tools to create a social media post or anything else for that matter at a click within seconds, right? But I think it lacks the integration and the context required for that specific market, for that specific brand, for that specific use case of that hotel, and or given the lack of market, industry, or functional experience of the user. So technically there is a social media asset, but clearly it lacks that context. And so I think the AI solutions will evolve in the next 2 or 3 years to bridge those type of gaps. The players in AI that create travel relevant and travel specific AI solutions for commercial operations to drive hotels and restaurants for that matter, I think will win. And so that is what we are set out to do. And I think it will take 3 to 5 years, Tammy, to be honest. But I think in 3 to 5 years, most hotels will not need to operate those 25, 30 operations anymore. And again, look in India, the largest hotel chains, and in China are doing that already. I think it's an unknown, untold fact. Back to you, Tammy.
Great, thank you very much. Any comments from anybody else hearing about how we spoke yesterday about fearful staff or the fears that staff might have of jobs being taken away. We're looking at how this is actually evolving and growing the industry. So do you see a balance here? Love to hear from everybody.
I think it's rather a support than a takeover. I understand your point, Hannes, but it's quite dramatic what you're saying, in a sense that I would not imagine a full takeover, but I would imagine that AI can replace some operative tasks, imperative functions, but still, like strategic thinking, you'd still need a person to do that. And we had Jeroen, who was doing revenue management. I go back again to revenue management. Of course, if you have AI to support those decisions or to do the changes automatically, but still you need to have someone behind to think of which strategy you want to implement. So in some cases, yes, operational routine tasks, but I would have doubts if in 3 up to 5 years we would have AI replacing a workforce of 30 people. But I don't know, what about you?
I agree with you, Soraya. So for me, AI is a great enabler, right? So you're going to make the human output of any single person working in an organization more efficient, right? So give you an example. You today have content generators that are doing 2-3 posts a week, and AI will actually push them to be able to deliver 2-3 posts every hour, right? That's how I see the technology. This is not going to make jobs disappear, but there is an underlying challenge of actually reconverting jobs to make sure that they still deliver quality and add value, especially to the consumer, right? And again, it has to come to operational and cost efficiencies. That's the power of AI. I mean, Hannes, and I would consider myself close to Hannes in terms of the technocrat approach of AI. Like, I like that. I think that if you look at it from a pure revenue management perspective, like we need to actually remember that RMS penetration in the industry is less than 5% global. So before actually AI replacing RMS practices, you need hotels to start using it in the first place. And then I think that we're forgetting that as a larger travel industry, tech adoption has always been quite slow, and it actually requires a next-gen kind of impulse, or yeah, you would call it something that drives it out. Travel is not well known to be innovative from the inside, right? So that is just the way it is. And I think it all comes back down to rethinking what travel is, because technically you see an inversion of the funnel, right? You see, like as you said before, Sarah, it's sustainability is driving change as to how we think the consumer starts their journey through travel products. So, and that is where I think AI could have an impact to make it more efficient and definitely more personalized. and not incurring on the cost, because the model implemented so far is that you do a one fit many model and you're trying to market this as a supermarket and has zero level of personalization, and the conversion is less than 1% across the board in the big brands, right? So that is what I think needs to change. And that's where I see revenue management practice enabled through AI with a human touch behind it can make a very big difference. But it's repurposing those roles to add real value.
And I think it's almost a blend of all the comments posed here, because it's also regional. I mean, Hannes is talking about China and India, so they can be leading in a very different way and have already adopted a lot of the technology to use that. So the revenue management use in those countries would be very interesting to see that compared to possibly some of the other countries where the adoption is maybe even lower than the 5%. So yeah, and I think we saw a post coming in saying very scary, AI is not going to replace what humans do. And I think just to give the reassurance, no, it's not going to replace what people do. But it is, as everyone's saying, it's an enabler. It's that tool to help us do a better job, to be more sustainable, to try and reduce costs where we can, and to really help the humans be able to, as revenue managers or as hoteliers, be able to give more insightful information and predictions going forward. And I think to Hannes's point, it's most probably not eliminating all of these types of roles or functions, but it's really reducing the staff quantity possibly in certain areas.
Well, if you build on that, Tammy, right, in India and China, where I saw firsthand this development, in fact, it's not replacing it, right? So we can talk about replacing for existing hotels for the next 5 years. But to build on that example, there are large hotel chains that actually open a hotel with only 2 staff members. So that's flipping the model upside down. We are not ignoring, and I'm not ignoring, that we need to create social posts and do pricing and, the long list of 100 things that the sales and marketing team needs to do. The question though is, who will do it, and how can we do it differently and better with AI or other technology? And so in China, India, first and again, is not replacing, but really saying what is the right operating model in terms of staff ratios and in sales marketing particularly, and what is obviously needed to drive revenue management, right? Alejandro, obviously we need to do these basic tasks with experts or with expert tools. So that's a key nuance to the concept of replacing. Obviously, that is strategically setting a different expectation around what success looks like. And I think from a legacy perspective, hotels open because they have always done it for the last 20, 30 years with an X number of sales and marketing executives doing a lot of manual things, right? Back to you, Tammy.
Indeed. And I think that, yes, Daniel.
Yeah, so if allow me, I'd like to spice it up a little bit, this discussion, just in terms of AI, because I have a feeling that we do often misuse the word artificial intelligence. We think about it as this huge intelligence behind things. And if you really talk about intelligence, what it is, it is several aspects of, behavior, feelings, emotions, language, whatever you can, memories, things that you can put together to actually create an intelligence, right? So what we are seeing today, at least it's my perspective, it's we have really good evolution in this field. Of course, we've seen ChatGPT, we see other ones that are more specialized in their fields and they're able to deliver even bigger results. But it's still, if you look at behind and what they're running, the technology behind, although it has evolved and everything, we are looking at a specialized model. So if you go, for example, to ChatGPT, what it's running on a specialized model based on language, and language has a set of rules. So to think about intelligence in this broad way as replacing humans in jobs and things like that, and things like this, I will not say it is the moment. It might happen in maybe 20, 30 years when we start connecting AIs. They are specific to their fields and they start integrating into themselves and creating this, maybe, this is kind of scary, but creating this kind of a memory and being able to generate their own actions based on it. But so far, I think AI, it's a really, really good tool that will run mostly in the back end of the companies and run behind the systems. For example, in aviation, it's not going to replace the pilot. It's not going to replace the person in the plane closing the doors and helping you getting comfortable. But it is probably going to help a lot in terms of fleet planning, in terms of fueling, in terms of managing the operations and making it more efficient. So I would say AI will have an impact, of course, in really low jobs or no certain jobs that are not really necessary. But I would say that every time you need a human touch, and every time you need some more reasoning behind it, and you need to know what humans can bring to the table, because we do have this ability, I would say it's far from delivering its value. But again, in revenue management, of course, in every single application that you do have a set of rules, and you do have a way of understanding these rules and creating a certain framework for it, AI will play a big role.
Indeed, indeed. And now thinking of AI helping humans and actually operational factors in that, maybe let's shift a little bit across to client side. And if we can ask Jeroen to maybe give some comments on how do you think going forward, we can actually keep attracting high value clients?
Yeah,
Jeroen?
I mean that's really the big question today, isn't it? So from an operational point of view, I think we're all aligned. There's a number of great things that we are doing, that we have been doing, that will keep attracting the clients. I think what's becoming more and more and more difficult is our market segmentation. And sure, we know the trends. We talked about sustainable travel today, right? But what is sustainable travel? What does that mean to a consumer, to a guest? What does it mean? And what does it mean for a hotel? Does it mean we have to support the local shops, that we have to start doing local education, that we also do something for the environment and we use eco products in the room? What is it? At the end of the day, it's not the hotels that decide, it's the guest that decides. And the guest, every person in this room, all the six of us, have a very different opinion about what is local, what is sustainable, what is personalization, what is customization. And sure, AI will help and enable to do that. But at the end of the day, how does a hotel find the right high value client? That's what it's about. So then we need to start turning everything around from that perspective and understanding, okay, what does Tammy do on a Saturday? Can I somehow get her to stay at my hotel? Or can I get her to my restaurant? Or can I get her to my spa? Because what hotels are doing is not proactive, it's reactive. So we go to this sounds very nasty, and all the hotel managers online, they will shoot me an email, which has happened before. But what we're doing is we're meeting expectations that we have created ourselves as hotels. So everybody needed a gym, right? Okay, let's put 4 machines in a room, and we have that service. Really? Well, if you're really interested in a gym, you're not going to go to that last room in the corridor. You're going to go to a real gym. So and this is our opportunity. This is the opportunity. Okay, so let's find partnerships. Let's find other brands. Let's find companies that are already looking or having that loyal community or loyal customer base, and we call it communities now, and attract that community to our hotel, because then we know that these people are interested in buying stuff that's local, or helping with education, or putting a little extra into organic products in the rooms or whatever. So and we know, and there's many examples of how that's happening, because we were all afraid to stand at a 350 people breakfast after COVID. We wanted that little personal kind of cup that nobody touched, So and that's clearly a trend that's because something has happened, but that trend has been existing for years. We all want that private stuff. We all want to, have a little note in our room when we arrive, or and we're not talking about just the small things. We're talking about, if I walk into a hotel and I'm a wellness or a retreat fanatic, I want that. I want the food to be adjusted. I want to be able to, I want to pay for it. No, absolutely no doubt about it, because I know when I pay for something, this is what I'm going to get. So instead of, meeting expectations, we can exceed expectations with experiences, with understanding sustainability in all the ways that comes out of. I mean, it's not just environment; it's all aspects. Keeping money in the local community, whatever it is. So, and then we're talking about VIP experiences, or we're talking about. I mean, I can see with some of the travel agents that I've spoken to lately, their VIP concierge service is one of the most elements, or that's increasing cash, that's increasing money, and let's face it, sure, technology is something that will help, because technology can help and enable relationships, partnerships, understanding what a local market does from a revenue point of view, but also from a value point of view. And that's the most important. I mean, that's where we are, that's where we need to go. And I know that because, I've had clients when I was consulting, the most beautiful little hotel in Paris, and it had to close after 1 year. It had to close, the beautiful restaurant, the flower shop next door where you could go and check in and pick your own flowers and bring to the room. All these things they've gotten rid of these people, the marketing people, the flower person, because they don't have the right client. That's where it starts. They were filling the hotel with all kinds of bookings from the usual channels, who come in with a shopping bag and eat their breakfast in the room and leave again, as a matter of speaking. But the people who really appreciated the design of the rooms, or the flower, or the approach, the location, whatever it was, they couldn't find them. They were unable to find them, and that's because they are putting their channels out, or they're hoping that they're going to get bookings that cover their costs in low seasons, and then get some more money in on the high seasons. So that's really where tools, and some of them are on here as well. But that's also why we created Joonze, because the first step is partnerships and linking with a customer that's already loyal to whatever they should be loyal to in your hotel, and that's really what this is about. So, and then we're able to offer additional services, experiences, like Holy Bob's doing, exactly like that, So I think then we're talking next level, and then we're not just talking about what are the next 5-year trends. We're talking about, what do people really want? What is their wish? What makes them happy when they travel?
Yes.
So, and that's what this whole market segmentation is about, I think. So
Great. Very good insights there. I can see a couple of heads nodding, and I think we've got some good comments coming forward.
Yeah, I think this is actually when AI can have an interesting role, because this is when AI is enabling you to get these relationships. You mentioned about relationships. So a couple of minutes ago, we were saying that maybe AI can replace people. Again, I will highlight that it's more like AI can enable relationship between people, or hotels and people. So thanks to artificial intelligence, hotels actually can get to know what the customers want. If they want a basket with local products, or if you want to have a bicycle just ready to be ride in front of the door of the hotel. Definitely that. And then there was something great you said, Jeroen, which is hotels, and it's an attitude thing. hotels should be not reactive, but proactive in every single aspect of their operations. So proactiveness versus reactiveness. And I think what we have been seeing for way too long is reactiveness over proactiveness. And that goes in our space, for example, towards the way hotels control their prices. You can have a reactive control over your availability, for instance, right? When you say yes or no to a booking, but you can very well decide upfront on whether you want to send or close availability to an OTA. That's a proactive approach towards, in this case, of course, availability control. But we could broaden that to so many different aspects of hotels operations.
Indeed. Alejandro, did you have a comment you wanted to make?
I mean, Jeroen knows I'm very vocal about this particular stuff. I mean, first of all, we need to remind ourselves that we're working in one of the most siloed industries in the world. Like, we all tend to work very disjointly. There's no appetite to create a kind of synergized ecosystem, and that drives me nuts. Again, I'm going to pick up on things that Jeroen said and everyone else. So, first of all, the consumer owns the consumer. Nobody else owns the consumer. Brands misleadingly say that they own the consumers. That is not true, especially in travel when most of the bookings are single purpose. So that's first thing. So I think that and tying into what I was saying. So I think that hotels have been misled into focusing on the what and the how and not on the why, right? So the next iteration of evolution in travel is making sure that you can tell the consumer why they need to book something, right? I'm going to spice it up. I'm going to take Daniel's approach to this. So nobody decides to travel based on the hotel they're going to stay in.
Agreed.
Right? So let's start with that. So, and if the hotel needs to be proactive, as Soraya says, you need to give a very good reason as to why they need to stay with you. And that is not easy. AI will be a great enabler to do that. People, even more so after COVID, are deciding to travel for the things that they're gonna do. Not only experiences, and this is not Hollywood bias, is about the reason why you travel in the first place. And that is the inversion of the travel funnel. As we were saying, even Airbnb picked that up, and that's why they started with categories instead of stays, right? Because it's the reason why people choose to get on a plane or in a hotel. And the level of commoditization from flight to hotels is like, yeah, level 1 and level 2, right? So nobody says, oh, I want to fly with this particular airline and then see where I get to.
Yes.
So
yeah,
I think it's all very interesting because, again, it's challenged us to thinking, as Jeroen said, how do I get high value customers that are right for me and I be able to provide an end-to-end consumer experience that will make them stay or that will make them synergize with another partner that I have, right? I mean, just wrapping that up. Hotels have a lot of services in destination, right? So outside of particular examples like Atlantis and everything, they're a destination in itself. The worst at selling their own ancillaries are hotels. Like, I actually arrive at most hotels and nobody tells me that I can book a spa or I can book an activity or I can do something in property that will generate revenue to the hotel. And the technology is there. Don't get me wrong. We already have technology solutions that will help them do that.
Agreed. And I think I'm going to lead into the next question, which, Daniel, is really for you. And it leads off of this. And this is now looking at how we're saying that it's about the guest. It's about what they are wanting to experience. So how do you think travelers' increasing demand for these more personalized experiences is going to affect data analytics and the way AI is going to assist in giving these services, but not only giving the services, most importantly, respecting privacy while we're doing this?
Wow, that's a good question, and it's a big one. But I'll pick it up on what Alejandro and Jeroen were saying, and I would say that in the end, what we're talking here is about an integrated customer journey. What we're talking about is creating the experience, and what we're talking about is how we tap into this different moments. So I really, it sounds like music when Alejandro mentioned like The customer does not choose by hotel, and that's true. And he does not choose by the airline he's flying. He chooses the destination, or he chooses a lifestyle. I don't know. Each one of us will have a different particularity in doing that. And this is really the starting point. So this brings to the table new players, because right as of now, we're talking about airlines, we're talking hotels, we're talking systems and everything. But we need to start bringing to the table not only that, but the destinations themselves. And the destinations, I mean, by the cities, the locals, and whatever we're doing, and has within it the sustainability, and it has within it the regulations that are necessary in this market, and has a whole discussion that will come up to the privacy after all. So before diving into that a little bit, I would say again, I'll stand by the what is being discussed here, that AI and will be a great enabler for very specific task solutions, and for adding us with revenue management, with fleet planning. I had recently an experience with a startup here in Brazil that, for example, was doing IoT devices at the destination level to measure, for example, the energy consumption at a whole bunch of hotels. And that gave us an insight on micro seasonalities that happen throughout the destination because of the increase of energy. So it is quite interesting, because we are accustomed to say, hey, it's summertime, it's good in Florida, let's say, and or maybe September, it's a good seasonality. But that is AI, and that is technology helping us understand there is micro seasonalities happening because the consumption of energy increases. And those are just things that it's not the kind of data that is readily available. So I think AI and all those systems, when they're placed correctly, they will enable, for example, Soraya to have, the best offer for Alejandro, maybe, that it's willing to travel or to a hotel that has certain characteristics. It will help the airlines to pick it up all the lifetime of that customer, and say, okay, so he's going to this hotel. Maybe it's time for me to offer the premium seats, or maybe it's time for me to give him a VIP lounge or something like that. I would say that this is what I call effectively the intelligence of AI. Because as of now, again, I stand by this point. It is a great system. I love it. I use it. It's fantastic, but it's still very specialized, and it is in the path to evolving. As the industry starts to adopt that, then we're going to start getting all these insights and all this data. And then we need to establish, and this is why I mentioned destinations, I mentioned regulations, I mentioned government. We're going to need to establish what is the point where we stop that. Because in the end, I can gather so much data about my travel. For example, I can imagine that I put an IoT in the hotel, and I know exactly what is the air conditioning temperature that Haynes like. And I know that he's traveling with 3 people, and then he likes to order margaritas at the bar. I don't know, I'm just creating here a story. How this data is going to flow through these different channels, and how much really I want to be impacted by it. So this is a question where I see we are evolving, but very slowly. So it needs to be a more proactive action from, especially the governments and the agencies that regulate it. Because as of now, I would say we are in the uncertainty zone. So we are understanding these technologies, we're kind of mix and matching. There's still a whole bunch of technologies that happened 10 years ago, like QR codes. Not everybody's using them, and it's a great technology for certain things. And AI, it's in this, and data and analytics behind it is exactly at this point. Like, we're kind of in a gray zone where I'm going to try a little bit of this. There's companies like SpotQuest, companies like Holybob, people, they're using it in a very effective, proactive, respecting the privacy and everything. But still, the industry does not have a full understanding of how this is going to play out. But I do see that, in the future, maybe, I don't know, I always like to say more than 10 years, but because technology is pretty unpredictable, it can be in 2, but it can happen in 10. I would say that, in 10 years or more, we're going to be looking at, from the moment we start looking at our destination, if we can overcome the challenges in connectivity, the challenges in technology, and the regulations and everything, into a journey that will be just fantastic. I'll be able to plan my trip, and from every touch point have until then. And this is kind of a futuristic vision, of course, but having this, it's kind of Julius Verne or something like that, but having within that, a true experience, because that's what guests are looking for. I like Jeroen mentioned, the human touch, the flower shop in Paris. And this is what it's about. I've experienced a hotel where they send me the towels with a bot, and it's cool. But I really love when I go. Every year I go to some of the same trade shows that happen exactly in the same place, and I love staying at the same hotel. And I know the person that is at the front desk, and they know me by name, and they know if I'm well or not, and they ask about it. So I think this would be the most important thing of all. I don't know if I answered because it was a huge question, but I hope I spiced it
No,
up enough.
that's been great. And I think touching on that, it is an unknown side. The protecting the data. We're going to get to also talking about partnerships and collaborations and that. But we've got so much data that is being collected and possibly being transferred. And yeah, we haven't necessarily got all of the regulations defined as to how to keep this private and how to keep the guest in focus again on looking at their interests. So we want to be personalized. We want to give them this great experience. We want to look at that, but we also want to give them the security or the comfort that their data is not being, sold or misused or abused or something like that. And I think tying into, I'm going to come to the panel now, just tying into some of the comments we've seen from the people joining the chat today is people are concerned or they've got that need of hospitality is about people. It's about that service. Like you said, Daniel, going there to the same hotel and engaging with that person. It's about people. That's what hospitality is built on. And it comes back to our guests. And yes, all of these tools or enablers are going to help us to do a better service or a better experience. But how do we use that wisely? I can see Alejandro is ready to give some comments. Please, if you'd like to.
I mean, it's you touched on a very interesting point there, and from the rest of the audience saying that travel is fundamentally human, right? So that I wouldn't disagree. The problem is actually making sure that every single role you have in your hotel, because we were talking hotels or airlines, is actually adding value to the consumer experience. Like I'll give you this example. Daniel goes to the trade show. He goes and stands in queue, and you have 4 front desk agents, and it takes you an hour to check in. So that is a bad use of the human touch of travel.
Great.
So technology would eliminate that problem immediately. So sometimes the problem is we're so afraid of adopting the technology and the change and making sure that adds value that we find silly excuses of, oh no, you should be greeted by a human being. And that is not true. I would actually find someone giving me instructions actually to get to my conference rather than have to wait to check in my room. I think I'm going to share this non-biased, but I'm a heavy Marriott user, right? And I collect my points and I stay with Marriott around the world. And one of the things I really appreciate about them is I get a very good concierge service through the app, but I check in myself and I open the front door of the room with my phone, and I don't want to go to a front desk anymore, ever again. And that is not eliminating the front desk, it's actually putting the front desk agent to do something that adds value to my stay.
But it comes back to that guest experience. You've got it, and what Jeroen was highlighting earlier, to attract the right customers or guests, you've got to understand who your market is and what do they want. So, Alejandro, I'm similar to you. When I get to a hotel, I don't want to see anybody. I want to be able to check in, go to the room, do my own thing. And if I need to, then to engage with somebody. Then we've got Daniel on the other side who likes to engage with ones he's seen and met and build that relationship. But it's all about that diversity, flexibility, and coming back to it's not about what necessarily the hotel feels they must offer, but what does the guest want and how do we now fit into that model? I think Sarai, yes.
No, Tammy, you're right. And I think that's also what Jeroen was saying when we need to know our guests. What is my guest like? And what I may like may not be the same what Alejandro likes. So if Alejandro likes to go ahead and do his online check-in, it may be Mr. Smith that actually wants to see that smiley person on the reception. But then at least you're giving the option to your guest to choose from one or another. Or if you know that your guest is a recurrent guest and he is always using the app to check in, so next time you can send him just a reminder, okay, you're ready to check in.
Indeed.
Yeah, or
And I'll add to this, if I can, what Alejandro and and you all comment. And this is where I think the tools and the technology will come in, because, for example, Alejandro likes to check in directly on the app and go straight to his room. And Soraya has all the revenue management systems running behind, and maybe she has an AI and the data to know that those are his patterns when he arrives at the hotel. So maybe he should have a different fare, maybe cheaper, because he's not using everything in the hotel. Maybe it's a way of getting this customer to always come back. It's an intelligent way of doing it, understanding what they do and creating that offer. I always think like when I would say it's a bad example from the airline industry. A few years ago, they changed from 32 kilos to 23 kilos your luggage, and then everything now it has to go on the bin, right? So this is basically, if you want it, you can pay the extra space. And this is, for example, if you think about it, and sorry to bring so much airplanes, but I think after all, it's the experience, it's the travel journey that is part of everything the customer experience. But if you think about the luggage in the bin, there is no way possible that the planes will fit everybody's luggage in. So what they do, they go into the front gate and they start looking at people that have more than one, and they say, hey, I can check it in for free. I can check it in for free. So for me, this is something that exemplifies what the industry needs to rethink. For example, what Alejandro mentioned, the lines you get at the check-in, and I haven't thought about it. You're completely correct. There is a 1 hour line for waiting. So this is where I would say company needs to rethink and needs to replay and start using this technology for it, because maybe instead of selling, for example, in the planes, or the luggage to get this extra amount and making everybody put their carry on their bags and everything, they could have different tiers. They could understand that, for example, I travel mostly with my family and I'll need that. So maybe just a small amount, not the full-blown charge amount they do it today, would be enough for me to always pick that up. Or I'm 6'6", for example. I always love the extra seat. So if for example, this is a good example of data. If AI knows I'm 6'6", they could already offer me an extra seat for a better pricing than it is today, and make me very loyal to that. So I don't know. It's just a few very simple examples, but
Yes.
to exemplify like where we can, those touch points will happen to create that journey. But it's still there's plenty to be done, and
Very
I see
good.
with good eyes, but there's plenty. Sorry.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Jeroen, last comments, and then we're going to move on to the next subject.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, let me start with the next subject. No, I'm kidding. I think what's really interesting here is that particularly what Soraya is bringing up all the time is like we need to be more proactive, because when one of us wants to go to a hotel and doesn't want to check in and doesn't want to, wants to have everything electronically, how does the hotel find that person, right? How does the hotel right now it feels like, okay, so let me give you two very quick examples. I mean, airlines is a very good example. I think we're all experiencing airlines in a different way as we used to. Because now, even though we're in a machine that takes us, 12 kilometers up high, we expect that it's on time, I mean, we don't think about how amazing it is that we're actually up there and we can fly, but it has become an expectation. So so now what we find annoying is that we have to queue to get on that airplane, right? And technology has not come up with a solution where, for some reason, where we can board so that everybody can just walk in, go into their slots, go into their seats. We haven't figured it out yet. Well, the butcher has, by giving you a ticket, so you're number 5 and then it's your turn. Well, why don't they do that at airline? So it's really, I mean, for me, it's like there's such a big space between what we use it for, how we can use it. I mean, if you're asking me, a business lounge for an airline is something I want to pay for, but then it has to be good. It can't just be crackers and wine out of a tap. It needs to be. And then, if you want me to pay for it, and I'll sit there for an hour and I'll enjoy it and I'll work there but then it has to be good. I mean, business class
Indeed.
on an actual plane, sure. Long distance, it's a big difference. Short distance, we just get that little packet of crackers and a glass of wine. Sure. So that's where, you know, the expectations are different than you know, whatever we're doing. And again, it's about the high value client. If you want to fly an airline and bring your luggage on, then start one flight a day with just bring on luggage. I mean, who cares? You know, I mean, if that's the way to go. But we're talking again about what is this high value client? How do we recognize that person? And how do we get them to our service? You know, whether that's a safari or you know, and I saw there's a lot of F&B guys in the call. I mean, the culinary tourism is growing dramatically. You know, use of raw produce, all kinds of staffing needed for that. Use of local restaurants, you know, specialized, you know, countrywide foods or spices that have to be used. You know, that's really the market. So that's just something I wanted to add. And you know, we can talk about the technology again, but please, you know, for those kind of small things which are really irritating or annoying, start using the technology, start using the AI, you know, to get me on the plane and not having to queue there, you know, or, you know, it's simple, real simple stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, we're up, you know, 12,000 kilometers in the sky, whatever it is, but we can't solve the seats. I mean, how? You know, I mean, it's quite incredible. So
I think the one comment we've seen coming through is from Terence. Thank you. There's no one size that fits all, and that's exactly it. And it's coming back to how do we solve the problems we've got with the technology we can to make those different experiences to track the right customers. And I really want to move on to Alejandro, onto your side now to pose the next question, because it fits in with the whole conversation now in that what role do you see partnerships and collaborations playing in the future of travel and hospitality? And specifically, how do you think businesses can navigate these partnerships effectively?
It's a very good question. I mean, for me, one of the biggest problems we have in the industry is the lack of ecosystem creation. Like that obsession about owning the consumer needs to disappear, because there's only one winner when we think about, or when we think that way in travel, and which is Google, right? I'm not afraid to say the name. It's the only one that's making money out of us working a siloed way, right? Because everyone thinks that they own the consumer, they pay Google. It's the most inefficient way of generating demand, and it's not sustainable, right? So I'm a commercial person, and I'm about creating profitable, scalable businesses. And dependence on Google traffic is definitely not the way to do it. And it's not me saying it, it's the data saying it. So I think that hotels need to start kind of finding clever ways, even using tools like Keyflow, Deal Flows, and any other ones, to connect to a larger network of similar products and like ancillary products. Even like the incremental products are even more important to them, right? And I mean, I've met Daniel years ago when he was in the airline business, and we had some discussions. And I think that it's important that the traditional travel products need to start thinking out of core. Like for airlines, that means revenue is not generated in seat or around the seat, because the consumer doesn't care. Hotels need to start thinking outside the room. If you want to plaster the room with QR codes to sell things on your minibar, that's not how you're going to generate money. So you need to start thinking about how you create, and Daniel, I think, referred it to like as the end-to-end consumer experience, the trip, the journey, right? But it's about the touch points. And he used that word, and I find it particularly interesting because the problem is we tend to do like magic solutions in travel, and we see that something applies really well for airlines, so we think that that is the magic formula to apply to hotels and to apply to distribution. And again, data and results have proven otherwise. So you need to find the secret sauce for your product and for your consumer. being biased, coming from Holibob, and we actually concentrate on tours and activities and experiences, now being called experiences, which is getting a lot of attention at the moment from a funding and from a startup perspective. You see that the thing is, you cannot sell activities the same way you sell hotels, right? So it's not a commodity, it's unique. There's no price comparison whatsoever. You cannot do apples to apples. And 80% of experiences are booked in destination and mostly offline still in 2023. So the challenge we have is how to bring that into a digital experience that is put in front of the right person at the right time through the right channel. And I'll connect that with something that Jeroen said before, is you need to start building trust, and trust comes from an interconnected play between partners, coming from where the consumer originally decided to purchase from or where, right? I'm obsessed about the ability of hotels and everyone else to activate install demand. And I'll give you an example of this. So hotels shouldn't be concerned about having less or more distribution channels. They should now be obsessed about how they can capture social commerce, because that is revenue that comes at zero cost of acquisition. If you crack that, or if someone cracks it for them, then it's a game changer. I think that everyone fulfills a role in travel. And I mean, my experience with OTAs have always been, it reduces your pain to activate new markets, right? It comes with little cost, and like Soraya can attest to that potentially, but it's a great way of internationalizing, like exploring new audiences without you having to localize or do other things, right? But on your core markets, you have to actually have a healthy mix of direct versus indirect, and also potentially doing reseller or third-party traffic that comes at a fraction of a cost. Because if not, they're going to disappear. Like the margins are not there in travel. Like we work in a very low margin industry. So you need to make sure that you're trying to make your costs more efficient, and you're actually maximizing your profitability at every touch point with a consumer.
Indeed. Great comments. And I think it touched on something I mentioned yesterday in the session, is really coming to that omni-channel approach where you can't see a guest as just the person that's arriving at the hotel. For a hotelier, the journey is pre, post, and it needs to be synergy across all the partners that you're engaging with, and having that connectivity really as one, almost coming across as one provider, and not the guest seeing these individual silos and having to interact and deal on different levels of that. Any other comments from anyone?
You mentioned something which is very interesting, Alejandro, which is cost of acquisition. And at the end of the day, I think it all comes down to that. So, going back to
your microphone is not working correctly. We cannot hear you, and we have.
Okay, what about now?
Better, much better.
Okay, perfect. So I was saying that Alejandro mentioned cost of acquisition. At the end of the day, it's all about cost of acquisition, regardless whether it's you're capturing your guests on social media or on your direct booking engine or with an OTA, etc. So if hotels look at cost of acquisition, and they will get, also an idea of what's the best distribution mix for them.
Good
I
point.
completely agree. Imagine in experiences, like the big brands currently in the space are paying $20 to $50 to acquire a consumer on mainstream channels. Let's say Google, but for a 12% margin, you're burning cash.
Yeah. Indeed. Any other further comments? Well, just wrapping up this last question, and then we're going to go into a round robin just to hear everyone's final comments.
I just would like to add to something that has been commented. I think that one of the people in the audience, they were commenting that we don't need technology, we need people. We need people and technology, but very often, it was more about like, we need people trained. I think that was the comment.
Yes.
That we need people trained.
Technology, it's that you don't have trained team members, was the comment.
Exactly. So we need technology, but we need technology to come down to people. And what we also need to do, and I think we're doing this with Travel Tech, and hoteliers should do that with their teams, and we should do that, across providers, is that we should leverage our technical expert. I think we're doing it here today. We have been doing this yesterday, and then in other events like this. But it's all about, if you have that knowledge, try to spread it out.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Very if you know how to use your tool, teach your team members how to use that. If you're good in data, in analyzing data, try to spread that knowledge across your team.
Yes. Shared knowledge is definitely a benefit. And I think regardless of what day and age, or whether we're 5 years in the future, that's always going to remain crucial. And coming back to trained members, exactly. It comes to I had the experience I shared yesterday of having one person behind front desk and them not being trained sufficiently on the PMS to be comfortable to use the technology. So they resorted to using a piece of paper to write down. That's not their fault. That's the training aspect that has fallen down and not supported them in that manner. So it's really bringing, and it's a subject I love to talk about, technology and people together, because you can't do one without the other. We have to work together, and it's a synergy. And I think it's really flowing over to so many different topics, whether it's collaboration with partners, whether it's collaboration in teams to actually share knowledge. It comes back to people engaging, communicating, talking, and using tools and technology to help them, and potentially use that to do the more mundane type of tasks. But the thinking and the engaging is where we really want to keep flowing, such as panels like this, so that we can share knowledge, we can share insights. And how do we leverage off technology? Well, we're using technology today to come across to who knows how many people across multiple countries, and to be able to share this info. I want to say thank you to everybody. We have really had a really engaging session. I think, like I said, we could carry on for hours talking on these topics. I think we're all very passionate about it. Maybe just a quick round robin to close off from each one. Just what is your key takeaway from today, or what is your key message you would like to share, thinking about how digital is going to transform travel and hospitality, and especially the next 5 years going forward. Maybe from Alejandro, would you like to start off for us?
Well, first of all, thank you all for being here with Travel Tech, with Vinicius, with the team. It was a pleasure to share this time with you. For me, I think that, again, we need to turn around and understand that we need to look at our fundamental commercials on our business model, and from an industry-wide perspective, and start building like sustainable practices. Like, this cannot continue forever. The capital markets are not ready to keep on sustaining businesses that are non-profitable 10 to 20 years after they started. And hotels need to actually kind of get back their thunder, right? So they cannot depend on everyone else to actually help them solve the demand generation issues, and look at it more in an interconnected way. So right. If not, they're going to disappear. That's how it works.
Good point. Thanks, Alejandro. Hannes, maybe from your side, what is your key takeaway?
Thank you, Tammy, and thank you, Vinny, for hosting us as well, and the wider panel. I would summarize it as key takeaway to say the following. Everyone is saying that AI will transform the industry at large. I think my key message would be to, first and foremost, have the audience and all of us to be open to be transformed themselves, to rethink themselves, and be just open-minded to whatever change there is out there before they go to the next thing in their day job. Because if I look to the last 12 months plus in AI development, I'm just excited, because I think I'm just happy that I am who I am today, because 20 years ago when .com launched and started, I was simply too young and not prepared to jump on the wave. The AI wave is significant, but we can only, and I can only, and my company can only benefit from it if we are really open-minded and really learn and experience the new solutions out there, well beyond my industry and well beyond the tools and products that I know, and then work backwards to success. And the best example is, like I said, in India and China, open hotel without people. if that's the starting point, you are forced to rethink the model. I'm not saying right or wrong. That's not the point. The point is really rethink the model. Back to you, Tammy, and thank you all.
Thank you very much. Great. Jeroen, moving on to you, please.
Well, thank you. First of all, what a great panel today. I mean, what a bunch of professionals. I'm so glad that Vinny's AI put that together, right? Or was it just the networking and partnership? I think it's really, I mean, again, I think it's a combination, and I absolutely agree with Hannes and all of you. I mean, I think we need to take the elements that are out there, start learning from it, and start using it within technology and outside technology. One thing we cannot forget, again, is how do we get the high value client our own way? You know, how do we get that as a brand, as a hotel, as a sales director, as a general manager? How do we get the high value client? There are numerous ways of how to do that, but partnerships and some use of AI, whether that's Web 2 in combination with Web 3, whatever it is. I mean, there is plenty of opportunity and plenty to do for many of the hotel teams and restaurant teams. So I think that's my biggest learning from today. And that's also something that I want to keep communicating, is these partnerships and experiences and understanding what we can offer within sustainability is really what we need to start talking about and applying.
Right.
And thank you, Vinny.
Thank you very much, Jeroen. Soraya, over to you to maybe give your wrap-up thoughts.
Well, I think that everything has been said. So yes, we should first and foremost embrace, just like Anne said, embrace change. That would be first, and then yes, embrace technology towards more sustainable practices, being them, in the way you operate your hotels, or financial, the financial sustainability. But pretty much, I think I would not add anything more to what has been said. The takeaways are there: technology, sustainability, and embrace change.
Great, thank you. And Daniel, I'd love to hear your comments and your takeaways from today's session.
Perfect. So first of all, thanks everybody. It was a great discussion. Coming from the other side again, airlines and hospitality and all the combination here gave me a good new perspective on certain things. Vinny, thanks a lot for the invitation. Again, I'll go hand to hand with Soraya. There's a lot of things said here that complement each other, but for me, I think the most interesting part, we're seeing that the whole industry is actually thinking about, what is our next move? Because we are right now in the gray area. Technology. We're being bombarded by this. We had COVID, the economies, the wars that are going on in the world. What's going to happen? So it's always going to be there. But I think it's good to see this group thinking about how can we move this industry together. And this is something that I think it was missing in the past, like having these discussions. There was very much silos. I know there's still challenges. I know there's still plenty to be done, but it's interesting to see we kind of aligning our views on customer, on journey, on expectations, on technology, and the good use of technology. So this is my key takeaway. The difficult part would be what's the next step. Everybody's going to try to figure out, but I would say that Haynes, your question is your comment was the biggest one for me in the end now, because in the end it's this, like we're so used to seeing what the neighbor does, and okay, maybe I can adapt it. So now it is really the time. So what do I see that I can change and actually be effective and try it out? I know there's cost to it, there is experimentation to it, but if we don't do it, it's a dead industry. And I see a lot of that with the airlines, for example, that I always like to cite, of course. 50 years with the same legacy systems now working around. We need to start doing that and start changing certain things if you want to move forward as an industry. But that's it. Thanks, everybody, and it was great.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. I think we've had a great spirited discussion today. We've had some comments coming from people online, which has really been great. Haven't been able to address every single comment, but really takeaways today is just thinking and doing things differently. So we think we're already doing things different, but we hear of people leading ahead on using AI or technology even more, but coming back to that core focus, hospitality, true to ourselves, true to the guest, while being open-minded and forming these partnerships and the collaborations. And I think specifically taking away knowledge from each other and being able to take that and implement it where we haven't possibly thought of something in the past and using it. But it has been wonderful, and thank you so much to Vinny from Travel Tech and for your team for organizing all of this. And maybe just the handover to you to close out the session.
Thank you so much, Tammy. First of all, thank you for the public. Thank you for all the congresses that is today with us. I watch it, everything. Really, really nice discussions. Few of them I would like to, hey, I want to speak also, but today I'm not on the I'm not on the grid today. So thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. So tomorrow we have the last congress that is going to be mastering revenue management. Don't lose it. Tomorrow we have, Floyd Stage, COO or Turbo Suite. We have Nicole Role, CCO at Libra RMS, Alessio Di Gaetano, CRO and co-founder Dynamite, Diego De Ponga, Corporate Revenue Director at Palladium Hotel Group, and Thomas Landon, CMO of Room Price Jenny. So I'll wait everybody tomorrow. Thank you everybody again, and for all of you to be here and to make this possible. Kisses, and we see on tomorrow. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Travel Tech EMEA 2023, where the transformation begins. By becoming a sponsor at Travel Tech, you'll gain access to an exclusive platform to showcase your brand to a global audience. Here's why you should sponsor our event. Travel Tech provided knowledge to more than 167 countries. Travel Tech is the largest online event in the travel and hospitality industry, reaching the milestone of over 1,500,000 unique impressions in its events. Delivering to the world knowledge, free education, inclusion, and effective networking for evolution in the industry. Being an excellent means of showcasing your brand. Over 80,000 people attended our live events, generating more than 19,000 hospitality and travel-focused leads. Meet the sponsors of Travel Tech EMEA 2023.
In the bustling world of hotels, guests expect prompt, courteous service from booking to check-in, all the way to check-out. Meanwhile, the front desk is overwhelmed with emails, phone calls, check-ins, and guest requests. Introducing Guest Chat, a virtual assistant that helps your staff answer guest questions instantly via chat, 24/7 with a multilingual, fine-tuned white glove service. From booking to check-in, all the way past checkout. Join the revolution in hospitality service. Elevate your guest experience with Guest Chat today.
Analyze only a competitive set, or the total set. Study only prices, or 116 factors. Launch only one price, or 60 different ones. Do you prefer to fill only your accommodation, or your bank account too? Turbo Suite, the next generation of revenue management.
Welcome to the future of hotel marketing with HS Latam. Our self-managed, easy-to-edit websites are designed to captivate and convert visitors into customers. High-standard website with top 1 speed in the world. Elevate your online presence with our digital marketing solutions. Reach the right audience at the right time. Optimize your sales strategy to maximize revenue and efficiency. And with our advanced Power by Analytics, track your success and make data-driven. HS Latam. Transforming hotel marketing worldwide. Introducing Travel Tech Academy, a platform offering free courses designed to share valuable knowledge from the best professionals in the travel and hospitality industry. Our mission is to provide inclusive learning opportunities for those who may not have the means to gain qualifications otherwise. With Travel Tech Academy, you'll have access to top-notch resources and insights that can help propel your career in the travel and hospitality sector. Over 3,500 professionals have already taken the course on our platform, acquiring knowledge and improving their professional profile. Many professionals, through Travel Tech Academy courses, have managed to find better job opportunities in the job market. For more information, visit traveltechacademy.com. And to become a sponsor of Travel Tech, get in touch through our website, traveltechspace.com, or by email at geraldo@traveltechspace.com. Travel Tech, what else?